to Pro. I'm going to be your host, Cameron. I am here with Tanya, Michael, Nathan, and Sebastian today. Before we get started, if this is your first time tuning in, we do office hours 6 times per week, and we invite all of our members into this Zoom, and they can ask all and any of the bubble questions that they want. We can't promise answers, but we do promise you won't suffer alone, and we like to say that we get it right most of the time. With that said, let's go ahead and get started, and I believe then, Sebastian, you were here first. We're going to be starting with you if you have any questions. Any questions? No?
Yeah, I do. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, so I'm so new to Bubble, so
Sure.
For some user, I think this might be some basic questions, but I got a very good help to figure out how to work with last time. And Tanya, you helped me to understand that that I needed a tally to calculate the mean. So I have this set up where I have a couple of sliders. Should I share my screen, perhaps?
Yeah, sure.
Mm-hmm.
See what you're working with.
Yeah, it's no, okay, perfect. So let's see. So I have these sliders here, and I will have many different users at the same time voting with these sliders, pressing save, and I want the answers to be collected into the database. Gotcha. I also want this chart to represent the mean of all the answers in the database. And last time, Tanya explained that, well, I needed a tally for this to be set up. And after the session, I went on and did that, and I restructured the database. So now this is set up by a tally of option set. So I have a data type called check-in, because this is check-in, and the check-in has a label, and the label is based on an option set of serious, happy, responsible, and ambitious. But the question is, so let's see. The question is, how do I, and it might be very basic, how do I set it up so when I click save, each of these is saved in the database?
Sure.
I have the button save is clicked, create a new check-in, value, slider is value, and I thought that I would, if I collect the slider's a value, I would also save it to the specific label, ambitious, but I don't get it to work.
Sure. Okay, totally. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to save all of these individual values, and there's 4 sliders there. So we want to save 4 sliders. And then under our type check-in, we're going to want to have those 4 values. And it looks like we have one set up just as value. What I'd recommend in this case is setting that value, we have it labeled as value. I would label it as, in this case, ambitious value. And then for the others, like the serious value, and so on and so forth. So value, in this case, for ambitious, that would be slider A as value. And then for, say, serious as value, that would be, I suppose, maybe slider B's value, and so on and so forth, depending on the way that page is set up. And so what we do is we'd save all of these records to this check-in data type here. And that would be, and then with the label as well, we would also probably want to differentiate. So we changed the label as it's currently set as label to then ambitious label. And then, serious label, and so on and so forth. So we're probably, if there's going to be 4 separate values, and we're also trying to include the value and the label, we're probably going to want to include 8 separate data records here in this case.
Okay.
And so what I would recommend So go ahead and close that real quick. And we'll click on add another record. Or set another field, I apologize. And so yeah, we create a new field here. And so for each slider in this case, we would just we'd make sure that we put that name. So
actually, I think that's what I had it set up for. So the label,
is that right?
Yeah, the label in, I think if go to your data tab, just cancel out of there and go to your data tab, Sebastian. And just go to the data types and go to check-in. And the check-in, the label should actually not be a tally. The label should be an option set. So go ahead and delete that on the far right. You can delete where it says label now and create a new one that says label. And then the field type should be, look for that label OS. Yeah, there you go. So now you should be able to save it as the correct label.
Are we going to be doing 4 separate records in this case for each value?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
for each, because then what we need to do is we need to search the database for each of the 4 and calculate the mean and store it in what's called a tally.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is correct, and then I close it, right?
Yep. And then you close that, and then you can create the next kind of check-in.
I don't need to do all of them, but just.
So in the chart, though, wouldn't it be possible to have it all in one record where we do a search for all of them, and then we do a sum to get all of the information, all the values, and then we can get the mean from that?
Yeah, it's true. We could do it that way. I was doing it this way, so it'll be a little faster.
Ooh, okay. Gotcha. Yep, speed's important.
Okay, so I got 2 of them set up, so that they will collect the value. The second question, if we have time, how do I make these 2 connect to the tally?
Got it. Yeah. So what I would do is I would create a backend workflow, and you'll probably need to go to settings first.
Settings.
On the left-hand side.
Yeah.
The second to last.
There. Oh, sorry.
Button. There you go. And go to API. And then click where it says Enable Workflow API and Backend Workflows. There you go. Perfect. Now go to where it says Page at the top left and.
Top left page.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then at the very bottom, you'll see Backend Workflows now. You're going to go ahead and create a backend workflow. It'll just be a new API workflow. And the workflow name is going to be, we can just call it tally. And then add, I don't think we need parameters at this point, right? We wouldn't need.
If we're just doing a search for, no, we.
Oh, I know what we do. We'll put 1 parameter in there or 4 parameters in there. We actually won't use them. All we'll do is we'll be waiting to make sure that all of those run before we run this backend workflow. So the first key will be check-in ambitious, for instance, or say check-ins. No, check-in. I changed my mind again. Check-in, and then we're going to have 4 of them because you're making 4 check-ins before, right? So add a new parameter and do check-in again. And the type is going to be of type check-in.
Type, okay. On both of them?
Yep. And you can leave this and add the other 2 later. Now, what you're going to do is click in to add an action.
Add action.
It's underneath the workflow.
Oh,
there
sorry.
No worries. And then now what we need to do is, let me think for a second. So these are going to be for different events, right? Is that right, Sebastian?
How do you mean? I mean they will respond. One person will respond by answering all the sliders, and then click save, and that will, we want that to update the tally.
Right. Right. No, I'm clear on that. But what I'm asking is, like you said, you're going to have 10 to 15 people in the room,
Yeah,
but this is but are you going to need to keep track of
Who said
the,
what?
well, not who said what, but your graph, it's just for that particular event where they are, not the all-time everyone who's ever entered it. Like I'm
No,
thinking.
exactly.
Okay, so just did that event. So do you
Yeah.
have an event thing in your database?
No, not yet.
Not yet. Okay, so we'll do it for all of them now. We'll have to refactor it to take into account different events later. So in this case, you're going to make changes to a list of things, or actually, no. Let's see.
If they existed, right?
So let's make changes to thing. So make changes to thing. The thing you're going to change is going to be do a search for, tally, add a constraint, and it's going to be, the label is going to be ambitious. Equals, yep. Ambitious, all right. And then where it says thing to change, you're going to select first item.
Things to
Where it says search for tallies, click that red box right there.
The red box there. Yep. It'll be the first item. And this is where you're going to do your math for the mean. So change another field. And the thing you're going to change is going to be the mean. And this is where you need to do the math for the mean, which I still have to look up because I apparently forgot middle school math.
Well, the mean is just the average, right? So it's the sum divided by the amount.
Is it the average? I thought the mean was different than the average.
Median, the median is different, but yeah.
Okay, in the case, I do know how to do it. So we're going to so this is where you would do a search for. And you're going to do a search for check-ins where the label is ambitious. And then click where it says, yep, click there. And then you're going to say each item's value. And then you're going to say sum. Yep. And then click more, and you're going to divide that. And then do a search for check-ins that are labeled ambitious. And then the count.
Ta-da.
Cool.
There you go.
Very good. It's actually quite logical once you get it.
Yeah, yeah. It's you're just stacking code. They've done the code for you. You're just stacking code to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
and then you
so
just repeat that for
cool. Super. I'm super happy. I would really be happy to get the video afterwards.
Oh yes, absolutely. So we broadcast these about, I don't know, we're on a 3 or 4 day delay, but if you'll remind me, it takes a little time for the video to process, but if you'll send me a Slack message, I can send you the recording after it processes.
Perfect.
And then one other thing though, we have to go back to your page. If you want to share again, you have to schedule that backend workflow.
Let's see. Okay.
So go back to the page where you're where you were.
It's thinking.
Yep. And where you were, this button save is clicked. Bubbles like, it's Friday. Give me a break. I've been working all week.
Okay. Yeah.
So click on where button save is clicked.
Yeah.
And then at the very end there, click to add an action. And you're going to go down to custom events, schedule an API workflow. And the scheduled date will be current date and time.
Current.
All the way at the bottom.
All the way at the bottom. And then the check-ins, you're going to want to do each one of these. So the first one will be results of step 1. The reason I'm doing this is because I want all of those steps to run before it schedules the backend workflow. And this will slow Bubble down and make sure that it waits until everything's run before it schedules.
Okay.
And it looks like both are result of step 1 though, and you may want to set the second to be the result of step 2.
Yeah, so the second one will be result of step 2, and then you'll add 2 more of those parameters.
Oh, it looks like they're just duplicating.
They're duplicating.
What is going on?
You may want to change the parameter name slightly. So check-in 1 to the check-in 2 and so on.
Oh, that's weird. Yeah, that could be messing it up. So we'll see.
Could be a little bubble bug.
That's funny.
So to change the name, you'd have to go back into that backend workflow where the parameters are set, and you just change it from there.
Okay. Here.
Yep. It should be just on the API workflow tally itself, not the action. Yep. On that guy. Perfect.
Key check-in, type check-in.
Just change the name of the key for, exactly. And see if that changes things. Otherwise, I'm going to be very weirded out.
Yeah, that's another bug report.
There we go. Yeah. So check-in 2 should be results of step 2. There. Yeah. Perfect. Good catch. Good catch.
Yeah. And then from that point, it's, check-in 3 and check-in 4 for the other values. And it's the same logic, same setup. And then you got it. Just make sure you're on that backend workflow and we're actually, making sure we're selecting, because we had just done ambitious. So when we copy and paste it, you just change it from ambitious to whatever other it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'll figure it out. Great.
Sweet.
Awesome.
Glad we got that for you. Rock on.
Yeah. Michael, you're up. How can we help?
All right. Hey, everybody. Hey, thanks so much. That was helpful. It's just great to benefit. This is my first one. Just seeing, seeing other people's, problems and things working through. I didn't anticipate the benefit of learning from joining. So this is great. I love what you guys are doing here.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I have a kind of just a general question instead of like a specific Bubble question. It's really about Bubble's HIPAA compliance. I know Bubble states that their app is not HIPAA compliant. So I just wanted to pick your guys' brain just to see if you had any ideas around this. I am working on submit a proposal to a potential client who's building an app in the healthcare space. So obviously for the private beta, they're okay with it not being HIPAA compliant because it's private and it's a closed experience. But kind of growing from that, something that I wanted to pick y'all's brain on is there a way to make it HIPAA compliant? I found there's some chatter coincidentally, there's some chatter on Twitter recently about this, using like Xano as a backend. And then also, I don't know if you heard of this tool, I'll put it in the chat, called Strack.io. And so I might schedule a demo with the founder, but basically it's a way to exchange, encrypt or, keep secure, sensitive PII, PHI information.
Mm-hmm.
And just curious to hear, is it at all possible to use Bubble as the front end, and then you just connect it to a back end so that with a tool that could ensure that it's HIPAA compliant? And wanted to just hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, good question. I absolutely know that Tanya uses with her clients. They do have backends that they hook up. They do use Bubble as a front end and then pass it on to a different database.
Okay.
And yeah, there are people in the community saying that you could use different backend servers, I believe, that I had read on the Bubble forum.
Right.
To do just that. Yeah, to be able to secure that data in like Firebase or something else.
Okay.
So Bubble's pretty clear on this. Bubble's backend is not HIPAA compliant. They have no plans to make it HIPAA compliant. That's not the focus. HIPAA compliance itself is not dependent on a single thing. You don't need all of your tools to be HIPAA compliant in order to reach HIPAA compliance. You just have to make sure that the sensitive data that HIPAA is protecting is not stored on non-HIPAA compliant vendors like software, right?
Okay.
So we do have apps that we store the sensitive data in backendless or Xano being the preference because it's the most no code of the backend tools so far. We're doing a lot of work in Xano right now.
Okay.
And then have the interface be in Bubble because it's secure enough to use as a front end for that sort of thing.
Okay.
Ultimately, your client is if they need to be HIPAA compliant, should probably be working with a HIPAA compliant specialist who's taking them through the checklist and making sure that they are HIPAA compliant, and that you would want to make sure that you're not taking on any liability for being HIPAA compliant, that you're just working with them to make sure that they're checking all the boxes correctly, you're answering their questions.
No,
but
that's I'm sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you.
No, that shouldn't be on you. That should be on them to make sure that they're crossing all their T's and dotting all of their I's.
Okay. Awesome. That's a great call out. Just writing a note. Tanya, thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
I think that's absolutely important. And we just want to build an app. I don't want to be worried about HIPAA, but also I want to help the client.
We're getting to a point where we're starting to see more and more of our apps needing to move into a more complex and a more flexible backend like Xano, independent of their HIPAA compliance, right? So he's not here on the call right now, but Ben is usually here. We're going to be dealing with millions of records in his backend. We're going to be doing a lot of data manipulation, and Bubble just is not the right solution for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So we're seeing more and more use cases where Xano is a better option.
Okay, that's awesome. No, that really helps me have a direction to explore, and just great to just talk with you and know that Tanya, you've had some experience doing that. Just trying to review my notes, make sure I don't have any other follow-up questions.
Michael, I'll throw something out for the good. I ran a company in that space in the past as a software provider, software as a service. You're going to want a good attorney to make sure you're not liable. You're the provider of that software, even if everyone agrees that you should be liable, is liable. You're going to really want to protect yourself. In a litigious society that we're in, your customer is going to be the face of it, and they're going to turn right around and say the software provider is going to have something to do with that. So it's a risky business to be in, and it's going to be on you to be able to prove. It's up to your customer, but your customer is going to have, there's going to be audits, there's going to be things that you're going to have to do to prove that. And if it's, unless it's going to be your full-time job, it's a pretty, I would look for other options as business as well. That, because you're never going to leave that requirement to protect that data. You know, even it's just our biggest expense as a company was our liability and the you know, the lawyer that helped us with that process, because it just never goes away. So just something. That's a negative side of that thing, but it's never going to go away, and it's always going to be perfect until it's not perfect, and then it's going to be on you to figure out what you're going to do about it. So.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate that. I don't even want to deal with that headache, and and also too, I'm not in a position to like hire a lawyer right now and go down that path, and it's just, to me, it doesn't seem like, especially for just the foundational app piece that we're going to build, that it's worth it's not there's so many other opportunities out there. It's just not worth the liability risk.
That's generally, I mean, so like I just was working on an app where they're going to have a client who requires HIPAA compliance. And that was our answer from AirDev was, Bubble is not HIPAA compliant. We're happy to integrate with other things that are and structure your Bubble database such that we're not storing any of that information. But when it comes time to signing any documents, we're not going to sign that it's HIPAA compliant. So you're going to have to find that compliance elsewhere. So,
And the challenge with a no-code environment is it's not like you're creating a package of code that you can export and then now they can do with it what they want. I mean, they're going to be required to stick with Bubble. I mean, that's the nature of the service. So you can't ever escape it. Even if you end the project, they're never going to be able to escape it either. It's just it's a tricky situation, especially when you're talking about PHI. So just a fair warning. I've turned down some projects already from past of my customers because I just didn't want to get in the business again. I didn't.
You don't want to deal with it.
It's too expensive for trying to build great projects a little bit on the cheap. You're trying to be able to provide a service, and this allows most of us to be able to do that. But when you're taking on the fact that you got to be a lawyer and an expert in that as well, to me, it just didn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. And it's just, I got to be careful in managing my time. I just don't want to take that on right now. So this was really, really helpful. I really appreciate you all just, communicating that. And there's a lot of opportunities out there where, you know what it's like, probably preaching the choir. You got to be very conscious of your time. And so this was really helpful, and I'm looking forward to attending more of these with some questions. I built a Bubble app like a year ago, and I'm actually building another thing right now. So I will definitely be attending more if I get stuck, and appreciate you guys' insight. This is great.
Yeah,
awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're welcome back anytime. Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that's it. Thanks y'all for that.
You're welcome.
Sweet.
Nathan, your turn.
All right. Well, thanks. I have really focusing now on the responsive side. So I've got probably some easier elementary type questions, but I haven't been able to figure out the right way to do a couple of the things with the new responsive engine. So that's where my questions are. I'll share them real quick.
Sure. Yep.
Can you see that screen okay?
We can.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first one, I've got some repeating groups. Content's all fine. I'm honestly just trying to figure out how to get a set of headers that respond the same way that the content is. I've tried several different ways, and I just haven't been able to figure out. Before pre-responsive, I could figure it out, and I could make them the same width, and they would respond, and then I could hide them if their index wasn't one. All of that stuff that made sense, but I can't figure out the right way to add headers here that move and respond the same way. So I'm trying to figure out if there's a best practice for that I just haven't been able to find.
And it has to be floating, right? Because you want it to stay put as you're scrolling through.
Well, I want it to stay lined up with, so here's the actual page. So I want it to be able to stay lined up with the data.
Right. But like you all always want it visible.
Oh, correct. Yeah. So
Okay.
in row 1, I want it visible, and then row 2, based on a condition, I would hide it there. But yeah, but it should always be visible above or at row 1.
Gotcha.
So I think that if you always want it, if it doesn't need to be visible all the time, then what you do is you'd set your repeating group to be a row, and you would put 2 row groups in the cell, and you would only show the top one with the labels when the current cell's index is 1. But I think your answer is actually going to be to have 2 repeating groups and set them up like exactly the same and only show 1 cell in the first one. And that way it will always be visible as you're scrolling down the other one. Does that make sense? You want me to kind of show you what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not sure that. So I'm using the Page Nation, so they can't scroll past. So like all the data on one screen is visible.
Oh, okay. Then if
my problem is, so I've tried the 2 rows like you mentioned, but in this, with each of these cells, I'm not adding exact pixels. I'm letting it expand just based on the data. But what I don't know how to do is make the heading, the row of the headers, match up with each of these fields. So when I've done that, the headers will expand and contract differently than the data does. So
got it. Okay.
I would like this to be, to say district right over there, always left justified with that. This would be, city, state, left justified. So as the content moves, I want the headers to move exactly, but still be left justified above that column. And I haven't found out, I haven't figured out a way to do that. I can hide the headers in row 2 on, that's not a problem. I just can't get the header, the visible header to line up with the data in different screen width.
My first initial thought, and this is probably not the way we want to do it for a whole bunch of reasons, but to have multiple repeating groups for every single data type. So Arkansas City, you have the state, the city, the amount, it looks like all these numbers, where each column would be its own repeating group. And then on top of that, you'd put it inside a group where you then have the header at the top, if that makes any sense. So basically you're partitioning every single item here into its own repeating group. And again, I don't know if this is the best way to do it, but that's at least off the top of my head what I would do.
It adds load time because of the elements on the page, but it wouldn't add load time. It wouldn't add load time for the searches because the searches would be identical. Right? So Bubble is smart enough that if you're doing a search on the page, it's not going to repeat that search. It will consolidate it. It will just have one search. So you'll have the do search in several places, but it's not going to do a search for each one of those. So, I mean, that seems like a pretty hacky way to have to go about it.
Yeah, exactly.
But I do see where you're coming from in terms of achieving what Nathan's looking for. I think there's, I'm wondering if you could, I'm wondering if a more inelegant solution, if that makes sense, might be to have a text field, like 2 text fields in the label, and one of them is just the same text as the cell, right? Like just using the text of the cell below it. But I don't know if that would even work. Like, but assuming it would work, because I'm not sure if it would just be stuck on that first row though. Do you know what I mean? Because then you could have invisible text that's expanding essentially. And then the whole group could be fitting to the content.
I'm not following
you're
yet,
not
but
following. It's hacky. Let me prototype and see if I can get it to work. Let's see here. We want.
And I'll ask a follow-up question because it's kind of a little bit related. Instead of design, it's the search. So on that repeating group, I had a search field upper right-hand corner, and I've been trying to figure out, as a condition is, any field matches what's in that search field or that input. So as I've started to, as thinking through like maybe additional repeating groups or things like that, I wanted to make sure I didn't lose the search functionality because I was getting at the data in a more complex way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, if you were including one repeating group, it would be a lot of conditional logic that would be needed. But
yeah, that was a part of it. I mean, not that I couldn't figure that out, but once it's built, I also want to be able to to search or filter things down based on that searchability.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We're trying to remember what fields are in the messages. Hang on a second.
I think it's just names. It was like John something something. In data, there's 2 users.
Oh, it's just conversation and text. That'll work, right?
Of those 2 things.
Well, let's just make a new data type here. Thomas, Callum, do you have any questions today?
No. I've got around 20, but I just thought I'd pop in and say hi.
Oh, hello, welcome. Cameron, do you want to make some different things in the database for the labels for me to work with? Thanks. All right, so we're going to do a group here. I actually want it to be much taller than that. Let's make the height 30. Row. True. Let's see here.
Okay, I've added cities and zip codes.
Great. So the width here, I'm like, what is going on here? I know I have this set as a row. I think that's what I wanted though. Maybe I want this as a column. Yeah. Okay. And then we're going to have So I'm going to group this in a fixed container. And then I'm going to copy and paste here. And our new elements tree is going to become really in handy right now. Text A and text B. But I can drag and drop. Isn't that cool?
That is the coolest thing. I love it.
It's so cool. So we're going to do
What does it do?
What?
What does it do? I've seen a few things like that. Is it just reordering where they are on the page, like bring to front?
I can change the group that it's in. I can change the order in the group that it's in with drag and drop.
Oh, awesome! Is that just the new responsive engine, or is that
Just-
everyone?
Yep, just new responsive engine as of yesterday, I think. So
Yeah.
yeah. So
I
this
don't even think it's been 24 hours.
nope, it hasn't. So this is going to be text label, and this is going to be text cell text. So this is, well, actually, this will be text label. You said you made cities and zip codes?
That's right. Yep. Field 1 is city. Field 2 is zip.
And then this one will be cell text city. All right, and then let's go into label city here, and we'll call it city. And we'll do text here is going to be current, not current index, current. So parent group's thing, but parent group is going to be so this will be a label. Field 1 is city, right? And my intention is that you will not be able to see this text. So whatever text it is, it needs to be invisible. So we're going to remove the style here, and we're just going to make this fully transparent. Right? So we can only see the label. But if be fixed beneath it, it shouldn't be fixed. So this parent group label here should be won't be fixed width, min height. How can I have things overlap in the new responsive engine if I don't have them fixed?
Does it work to have negative margins?
I think
Pull the
negative
margins on top of each other.
work, but I mean, if we're just worried about the width of the thing, then that might work, right? We could just make the space here, make this shorter, right? But keep the size of the text the same because we need it to be the same as in the cell beneath it, right? So that it will have the same width. So if I go into the group here, so this is group label, doesn't have fixed width, but now it's double the width because they're not overlapping. But let's do that negative margin thing and see if we can do it. Let's do negative left margin. Hopefully that works.
Da-da-da-da-da. Fingers crossed.
Da, 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 da. Okay, so now I want to take that group label. I want to copy it and I want to paste it. And within here, it'll be group label, zip code. Well, first, let's take the group itself here and the layout and give it a left margin of 10 for the whole group. And then this will be group label zip code. And this zip code. There we go. So now search for labels, code. Do we have some super long city names?
We have Beverly Hills, so maybe that'll help.
Oh, I didn't set the rest of it. I have to set the rest. But that's good. We didn't see Beverly Hills anywhere. So, or whatever the city name was, it was hidden, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
now
yeah.
I just need to take these two groups, the group label. Where did it go? Copy, paste. Actually want to drag it down. All right. How do I grab it without grabbing everything? I think if I copy and paste, and then I can drag it, right? I can drag it into group B. And that, my friends, is why we have this amazing opportunity to drag things into groups. Let's see, can I get it under this group? I can get one closer. I keep skipping it. There we go. And then one more. I need to put something in group B so it'll accept it. Have a group B. And then delete this one. Still easier than the other way around. All right, so now we have this, and now we can delete this label text here. Hang on just a second, I got rid of this cat.
I was gonna say someone's cat needs some love.
All right, I'm back. All right, so now we got rid of that one, but we need this to not be transparent anymore. Field, and in the layout, we don't need this left pixel anymore because it's the only thing. Okay, and we just can group label, copy, paste, and the text here should be field 2. Fingers crossed. I'm still not seeing anything. What did I do wrong? Layout is visible. The text is visible. Let's see about the group. Parent group saying, oh, got it. Okay, so this needs to be a label. All right, so now we need a super long city name.
Okay, super long city name coming up. We are going to do.
And I need to put the 10 on there on this other group, so I will. So on the group here, I need to have the same padding of 10.
This might be too long because it's an entire sentence. But you let me know.
We'll know one way or the other. Well,
okay, so I actually modified the first record. That would be Beverly Hills, and it is not showing up. So let me take that, and I will do.
Why isn't it showing up?
Okay, so Melbourne should be a lot longer now.
Yeah, but it's already cutting it off. So let me go into the text here. There, here, text, city here. We're not making it fit with the content. And we need to do that in each one. And here. And here. Nope. So it worked to move this, but we already had that working. It's not affecting this because this is only in the cell, visible in the first cell. Well, let's hack that. Let's see here. If we make this, what if we take this off and we make it visible in every cell? But when but we save for this one, when current cells index is greater than 1, color is completely transparent. We'll work on the height if this works. Still didn't work.
God, that's upsetting.
I mean, what we're doing is being very, very, very hacky.
Oh yeah,
So,
definitely,
like,
definitely.
it's not surprising that it's not working.
Respect my hacks, Bubble, please.
Like, what are you doing not respecting my hack? You're Let's see here. Let's just double check here that this is fit width to content for the group. Fit width to
Now,
content.
I also think that maybe hacking it and stylizing it with CSS might be an option as well. And the reason I say that is because you can use a unit of measurement by the name of character, which basically stipulates that it has to be the width of an O, because an O is the widest character. So you can say the width is set to 20 CH or something like that. So that means that the width will always be 20 characters long or wide in this case. Don't know if that's the exact solution, but at least for making it wider and for making it stick to, you know, a character length, at least that could be something that we could use. But then again, that in itself is also pretty hacky. So
I was thinking also, if I'm going to have it just manipulate the height of this on different cells, then maybe if we have it visible in each one, we can get rid of the hacky extra like invisible things here like that and like this. And then what we can do is we can even get rid of the groups. Let me just start over. Let's go. Let's just start all over. Okay, so I have a repeating group, which is good. Now what I want to do is I want to add my still going to add a group. Oh, I already have a group in there. Let's get rid of the group first. Bubble, you're charming, except when you're not. This will be a column. This will be a row. And let's have this be, I want it to take up the whole height is what I'm trying to say. Minimum should be whatever this is. Let's just make it 100. Okay. And then the width, it won't be fixed width. So if this is 509, just make this 500 even, and then this one can be 500 even. Okay, so then now I've got that, and I want to do my labels, but I want my label, each label set to be in its own group. So I'm going to do a group here. And then within this group, I'm going to have this group is not going to be fixed. The group is going to be a column because it's going to have two things on top of each other. We're going to have a text here. And then we're going to copy and paste this text. Right, so this text pair, and then this is going to be So the label will be hidden in subsequent ones, but this will fit the content. Nope, that's good. That's what we want. So this is the label. This is going to be city. And then this will be the current cells, whatever. This will be a label. Then inherit the parent group's thing. The parent group's thing will also be a label. And go to the parent to change it. I heard Discord. I'm getting used to that sound.
Yeah.
I'm working on it. All right.
Oh, for the record, I did go ahead and set up Discord as it is now. So the only thing that we really have to decide is what kind of channels we want in addition to what we have now, maybe like showcase channels or channels dedicated for responsive, the responsive engine, so on and so forth. It's up to you.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to reviewing all of that. I'm excited to move over to Discord. For those of you watching, we have a private Slack. We've got about 50 people on our Slack right now, which means so team members and then also office hours members. And we've decided we're going to move all of that over to Discord instead. So let's see here. City, what am I doing? I want to say when current cells index is greater than 1. Greater than 1 or is 1, then I want it to be I always want the width, so I don't want to mess with visibility actually. I don't want to collapse it or mess with visibility. What I want to do is I want to mess with height. So when current cells index is greater than 1, I want the okay, I might have to do it with the text instead. So greater than 1 will do the font color. We'll make it transparent. We'll add that here. And then we're going to put this in a group. I want to group this in not a fixed. Height is 0. And copy.
Could you just not show that, like not visible, and then have it collapse? Oh, it's not a group.
No, so
Okay, I got
so
you.
if it's invisible, it's not. It has to inherit the width, right?
Right.
So
Okay, I'm with you now.
oh, maybe I don't need. Maybe I'm doing this and it's unnecessary. Because the width is going to now be this group here, right? So maybe I don't need to do this grouping thing that I'm doing here. Whew. All sorts of layers in. Let's see here. It's this group label here. Let's move text city back out of that and then take this group out. See, I knew it. Now I'm using this all the time now. Like, this is my first time bubbling with it as an option, and I've already used it several times. I'm super excited about this. I'm especially excited because with our with the extension, we're going to be, this will pop out and we'll be able to take this wherever we want to work on the page. It's very cool. Okay, let's just see if this is working just the way that it is. No, because this is wrapping. So let's go change that wrapping here. Layout. This is fit height to content. This is fixed width. It should not be fixed width. We don't want a fixed width. And the same with this one, should not be fixed width. That didn't seem to change it. Fit width to content. That didn't change it.
Is your group, are those still in a group?
No, this isn't in a group. Well, this is the group that it's in, and this is not supposed to be fixed with.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go. There, that's what you wanted.
She did it. Can you go, because I've been trying my own solution on the on my page. Do you mind showing me what you did? I mean, I could, of course, go to your page to see what you did, but having you here to walk me through it.
Sure. So this is only like, this has to do with these both sharing here, right? So let's see here. So first, the page itself is set to a column. Sometimes that matters. The repeating group is set to a column. I have it as fixed width. If I take the fixed width off, I'm guessing this will not wrap here anymore. Yeah. So it's going to take up the whole space here. So we could put a maximum height on it, right? So we could say the max width is a certain number of pixels, or we could say 150% or whatever. So let's just try, let's say like percent, let's make it 200% as opposed to my screen, which is crazy. So maybe a little better. Max width pixels, let's say max width pixels is 900. Yeah, that's better, right? So you can play around with that. So repeating group is set as a column and not fixed width, and you have your min and your max fit height to contents. I don't think I played with this. I only changed this max width here. So then inside of this, we have a first group here called group label. And it is set as a row, and it is horizontally aligned to the left. It does not have a max width. The min width is the same as the repeating group. I guess I could click the fit width to content. I don't need to right now. It's working the way that I want it to. Min height is 100 because that's That's here. We can, oh, I know why I was playing with the height stuff. It was so that these aren't so wide, right? Like we need the height here in this one, but not in the rest of these. That's why I was playing with the height. I'll go back and work on that. Then we've got in this group here, this is the second, so this is the first group in the cell is holding both of these groups here. So in this group here, it is column, it is vertical alignment is centered because I wanted to look better. Not fixed width, min width, it was set to whatever I put it on the page as. You could change that. No max width, min height, no max height. Then in here, just put the label however much space I need for the label because it's no longer going to, the label and the text are going to be in the same group. So the labels are going to inherit the width of the group. The width of the group itself is set to, I don't have it fit width to content, but I guess it could. This one is, I had to make sure that this was fit width to content so that as you type it, it would keep going and expanding.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
So, yeah. I mean, I still feel like there's some things. So like if I do this one in a group elements, I think I put it in another row container here. And then the condition I want to put on the group here is when current cells index is greater than 1. I want to make the max height of it to be 0, right? Because I want to hide the height of that group.
Yep.
I don't want to hide the width. I just want to hide the height of it in subsequent ones. So I'm going to copy this condition and put it, this one into a row as well, and then paste it here. Let's see if that does something. Does what I intended at least. Yeah, maybe a little better. So we need to make this group smaller. Min height should be what? This is 30, 30. So this should be 60. And then the same here. Or no, actually the minimum height should be 30. I made changes. Why isn't it telling me to refresh?
You thought you made changes. No.
I'm serious. Like, what is going on right now? Bubble, wake up. What is going on? Bubble didn't register.
Yeah, wait. That is very strange. Let me see. I can make a change on my end, maybe, perhaps, and then no, it should update.
There we go. Like, come on. Still didn't quite do what I wanted it to do.
I think you have your parent group around those two cells is probably still.
Oh, that's right. Yep, you're right. So the minimum of this one should be 30 as well.
Yeah, could really be 0, but
No, something's still holding it up. Don't have, so Minimum height of row is 30. There we go. Now we're getting closer.
It's still holding. It's still holding that space up there. Yeah.
It's getting better though. We're getting closer to. It's a lot better than it was. So.
Could you change the visibility to none if its index isn't 1 instead of the height, or what would happen then?
Yeah. So then, if I did that, it would only. I don't know. Maybe let's try it. We can try. We could do that. We go into the parent group here and the conditional. Let's remove this and just do appearance here. Here. Position is when current index cell is 1. Go up. So that's better.
I don't think your zip code conditional was right.
Zip code conditional. Oh. No, there's still, this is lined up and this one's not lined up, so there's still something wrong. What did I do? I'm in text zip code. I didn't want to be in text zip code.
What about vertical alignment of the parent group label field too? Could you have that up? Is it like currently set to the bottom?
No, I think I was just in the wrong thing. I wasn't in the group where I wanted. Layout. Yeah.
Okay.
So I just need to make it visible, like the text visible here for this. There. Whew, that's a lot, Nathan.
And then when will you collapse your screen and I could see if it, I mean, just does it move?
Cool. Yeah, that does exactly.
Yep.
I do really give praise to Bubble for eventually, including a dynamic or a responsive engine. It's such a shame seeing this engine versus the Webflow engine, because Webflow is just, it makes it so easy to stylize with Flexbox CSS, where this is still sort of, there's still some kind of learning curve, but I mean, the concepts are the same. It's just a little bit more,
But did that cover pretty much what you needed, Nathan?
Yeah, I mean, I have screenshots and notes, so
I can send you. I'll send you the recording. It'll take it a few minutes to process, but I'll send you the recording too. So, and then also, I think I have it so that this editor might be public. Actually, here I can send you the link, so maybe you can check it out.
okay, yeah, that's great.
Awesome. Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap up office hours. We were abandoned by all of our other members and guests, so I'm not sure how long after hours is going to last, but after hours is when the recording goes off and the cameras come on. And if there's any sensitive information, so like if you're working on an app for a client, might not be appropriate for you to come on after on office hours and share your screen and ask questions that are showing proprietary information, or maybe you signed an NDA. But in after hours, we're not recording, and it's just us, and we can talk about things that we can't do on recording. And if you want to join those sessions, you're welcome to by going to pronocoders.com and signing up for our developer membership, which includes office hours. Today, please, because we can't wait to see you. Our next session is going to be, well, right now, currently it's Friday. I'm not sure which day of the week you're watching this on, but our next session, episode 222, will be on Monday. See you then.